I think it's fun. It's always good to just take a risk and explore a bit and see what life has to offer. I think that's what's important for me.
Character is like a key thing. Starting your own business, doing sales, character plays
Yeah.
such a big role into it as well.
You got to build that lore. You got to build, the backstory.
All right, guys. Today I'm chatting with Andy, who shares his own story pivoting from the Big Four consulting firm to tech sales, then eventually running his own businesses, which are cashing in. We dig into handling the tough decisions like parental expectations, the realities of entrepreneurship, both the harsh truths and the positive outcomes that it's had on both his health and his wealth. Let's go. All right, Andy, we're live.
How you going?
Yeah, doing well. Thanks for hopping on.
That's good. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right. I want to kick this off hard. I think your background is absolutely cracker. It's the story that a lot of people coming out of high school, it's what they're thinking, right? So you finished your degree at one of the top Aussie universities, and then you landed
Yeah.
a role in one of the big fours. And, for the Americans listening, this is pretty much like your big consulting firms, could be your McKinsey's. You then pivoted into tech, right? Which is a really, really cool. That's how we met. And then you went out on your own. And that's a pretty cool story. From your POV, how do you define yourself?
How would I define myself over the past couple of years? I think I define myself as someone who likes to take risks and someone who doesn't mind giving things a shot and just, giving things a go and trying. So trying new things, someone who is open-minded and just super curious.
When you talk about taking risks, expand on that a little bit more. Tell me what you mean when it comes to taking risks, because I can say I take risks because, I like my crypto pumps and
Yeah, I think, taking risks is quite subjective. Obviously, if you come from a strict traditional Asian background like myself, taking a risk could be like leaving your secure job at Ernst & Young and moving to tech and trying to explain to your Asian parents what you're trying to do at that tech company and why you're leaving what is known as a really secure job in their eyes, right? So that's the first major risk that I sort of took, and that was my first bet on myself. And I think, it's if you really believe in yourself and you just want to try, then, take the opportunity to do so. So that's what I did. I took a lot of convincing. And even when I was still working at Templify with you, I was still getting, questions from my parents. I was like, are you going to go back to work at EY? So I still get that, here and there. So yeah, so that's one risk. And obviously with Templify, after being made redundant, where you're trying to figure out whether or not you want to go find another job or you want to do your own thing. So I think at that point I was already on the fence of just starting my own business and taking that risk. So that was like another thing I had to, explain to my parents. And then at that time as well, they're like, oh, do you think you can go back to working at EY? And I was just like, oh, no, I don't think I want to go and work. So yeah, basically then just decided to start my own marketing business. And that was like we can go into a bit more detail around that, but yeah, it's started the marketing business and I've been doing it for almost 3 years now. It's been 2.5. And then, time flies and you've got to try and take those risks and experience different things.
Why? Well, you mentioned time flies, right? Why take risks? Like, why is that important from your perspective?
Yeah, I think for me, taking risks is very important because it just allows you to experience life differently. If I didn't take the risk and stayed at EY, and if I'm still working there, then I'd probably only know what life is like just working at EY. So, and I feel like that to me isn't as fulfilling.
Yeah.
And that's not to, disrespect anyone who decides to go down the consulting route and sacrifice, 10 years into it. But, but like for me, it's just like, I'm so curious about different things. And if I did, decide to move to tech, then I wouldn't have been able to experience what it was like working for a startup or a scale up. I wouldn't be able to experience what it was like to work, overseas for a team And then even after working at Templify, working on my marketing business, and, helping other small businesses with their marketing, like I wouldn't have been able to experience that and be able to build meaningful connections with other business owners, and sort of experience life that way. And also just like trying to make your own money as well and managing your business. So all of those different life experiences, I think, are very important, and it helps, build character. And I think I'm very big on building character and having a story to tell. So yeah, I felt like I was just pigeonholing myself to EY. If I decided to just stay there forever, then like I'd have a pretty boring life, I think. So I think for me, yeah, it's always just like, can't really hold me down, right? It's want
Right.
to experience a lot of things and try new things. And that's where I'm at with the bakery at the moment as well. So
Yeah.
it's, I think it's fun. It's always good to just take a risk and, explore a bit, and see what life has to offer. I think that's what's important for me.
I think there's a lot to unpack there. A lot of different kind of streams that we can go down. But maybe just for me to add my POV into this as well, like I completely agree, right? Coming from like an Asian immigrant background,
Yeah.
it's coming out of school. They have a clear trajectory of where you should be going, whether that's, what you want to do or not. That's a completely different
Yeah.
conversation, but it's a clear, stable career. It's probably a bit of a generational difference as well, because I know Gen Zs kind of have a bit of a different mindset. I think Gen Alpha probably will have a different mindset as they grow older as well. But I believe that being able to get those experiences is absolutely, absolutely critical to building your character. It's interesting hearing you say that as well, because we had Amanda, who was like a ex-chief marketing officer. One of the key topics that we spoke about was building character and how important that was. And I think that's a pretty essential topic. Thinking back, being interviewed by people and interviewing people, character is like a key thing. Starting your own business, doing sales, character plays
Yeah.
such a big role into it as well.
You got to build
Um,
that lore. You got to build, the backstory.
the
Yeah.
law is really going to care about the story of somebody that spent 20 years in a company, right? In like a 9 to 5, right?
Yeah,
It
exactly.
doesn't matter like what you've done about it. It's just not a
Yeah.
cool story.
Yeah.
People just don't really care too much about it. But people do care about the people who've gone out there, and whether they failed spectacularly,
Yeah.
or they were tremendously successful. Like it doesn't even have to be positive. It's still the story. The story tells itself,
Mm.
and the story is much better.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely resonate with what you mentioned about the, the coming from an Asian immigrant family. It's just like you've got this very clear path set aside for you. And it's either, you become a doctor, or if you can't become a doctor, then you either go down, the commerce route, or you go down the med sci route.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that was like me coming out of high school. Well, coming out of high school was like 17 years old. So, and then having to sort of like pick a degree
Mm,
and go and study something that that I thought was going to define the rest of my life.
mm.
It's like, that's a lot of pressure, man, for a
Yeah,
17-year
yeah.
old. I feel like that's a lot of pressure for a lot of people, a lot of young people. Um,
Man, I feel
and
like when we were like when early in my career, when I used to see a lot of resumes and I saw a lot of people do like gap years, or when I heard about
yeah,
people in the gap years, back then, I would say that with a very kind of tunnel vision view, or a small world view, I used to look at that and be like, oh, like why'd you take the gap year? It's a
yeah,
straight, you just lost a year in your career, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. You
But
lost a chance to make money.
yeah, yeah, that's right. That's right. It's like, oh, what are you doing? Like, what a mistake.
Yeah.
But no, dude, you're absolutely correct, man. Like getting out of university and you're like 17, your brain is
Getting
still
out of high
pretty,
school.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Your brain is still like smooth as,
Yeah.
and
You've
it's like,
barely had experiences, man.
yeah,
Like,
you know
I
nothing.
mean,
Yeah, it's like, all right,
like
here, this, you need to tunnel yourself in this direction for the
yeah,
rest of your life.
you're doing accounting, or,
Yeah.
and then, yeah, so then like, that's why I feel like it's, so important to just like try different things, because, just having your life set out for you at 17 already, that doesn't make sense to me. And you're probably going to find different things that you like 5 years down the track. And, some people feel like they're trapped because they've invested 5 years into something already, and they don't want to leave.
Mm.
And then they become miserable and they say they hate their lives and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So I think it's always important to just finding something that you like and try it out. And if it's good, then stick with it and then, make a living out of that.
You've had your challenges, right? So like you were saying, coming out of university, your parents were asking like why'd you leave EY or
Yeah.
and things like that. How were you able to overcome it? For me, I was able to overcome what my parents thought by showing them how much I was able to make in sales. You know what I mean? I was like, hey, I know you thought this was the best route, but I wasn't smart enough for it. But here's my paycheck and here's my
Yeah.
commission. And they'd see that and they're like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, no, that's 100%. It's just about money. Obviously, them wanting me to stay at a secure job is really
Right.
just so
Yeah.
I can, make money, right?
Yeah.
And support myself and build a future for myself. So one of the biggest counters and the biggest ways that I was able to convince my parents for uh, being on board with me moving to tech was the money, right? And just the opportunity to make money. And the salary itself was already way higher than what I was getting at EY anyways.
Yeah.
So it's like it was already a bump in pay, but
Yeah.
also uncapped commissions, right?
Yeah.
So like that already for them was like, all right, well, give it a shot and
Yeah. Yeah.
see how you go. And, the rest is history, right? Like I think I had a really good fun time working in sales, hitting the phones and cold calling and doing that for a bit and, finally being able to work on my own deals. Yeah, that was like a really fun time. I think Templefy was like, I think like young adults coming out of high school and coming out of university, trying to figure out what to do. Like, man, go down the non-traditional routes, like try working in tech, I think for a couple of years. I think that's like I think it would be very defining moment. Just trying to, work for like very innovative companies. You get surrounded by a lot of smart people as well. That's what happened with me at Temple High anyways, was, just like so much knowledge and so much people around you
So the
building you up.
network effect.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, like, I asked Jess since she's now, I think, just about to finish her internship, and she still thinks about the difference between her working in nursing, right? And like
Yeah.
difference working in nursing and working as a software engineer in a company that's trying to be like more and more innovative. And then she'll
Mm.
hear like the perks that you get working at a tech company, and she's like, "What? I used to take like a fixed 30-minute break, right? Like actually go to the
Yeah.
kitchen, eat for 30 minutes, and then boom, like straight back onto the floor." And then you
Mm.
have, and this part is probably where some people kind of think a little bit differently around culture. But for me, it's like, yeah, I like playing ping pong, right? And
Mm.
then I like going out for drinks on a Friday. And to me, that was absolute vibes. So very, very completely different environment. So I completely hear that. Most people may not agree with you though. Like you literally said, I had a great time, and the immediate thing you said afterwards was hitting the phones and cold calling. I know where you were going with it, but out of context, that just sounds harsh.
Yeah. I mean, like you're going into a sales job. I mean, if you don't have any technical background and, you've got the grit and you've got the drive, then like I feel like sales is just the natural, progression for you if you want to go into tech. That's how I got into tech anyways, because
Mm,
I didn't know anything about, the technology that they were doing. So I
mm,
couldn't really go into Templify as anyone technical.
mm,
Um, Nor did I have any marketing skills or anything like that. So it's just like I'll play into my personality, I'll play into the sort of sales aspects. And like for me, going into that role just showed me that, anyone can really work in sales if you have the drive and if you have the determination to learn and to upskill yourself, then you can build a really good and a successful career in sales in tech. And I was able to experience that firsthand for sure. And that was how I got my foot in the door into tech. So yeah. So if anyone is thinking of just what to do after uni, and if they are wanting to get into tech but without any sort of technical skills and stuff like that, then I think sales is a great opportunity to look into.
If you reflect back, thinking about who you are, and even before you got into EY, did you naturally have that drive? Do you think
Oh,
that you had
man.
it in you, like, or was it, or did you have to really bring out the dog, and then because you saw the commissions and whatnot, you were able to kind of maintain it?
Yeah, no, I think I did have that drive from year 7 to year 10. I was really just a menace. I was, during school, I was just, like,
I wouldn't expect that thinking looking at you.
yeah, right. During school, I was like, sneaking out at night, yeah, doing all the things that your parents don't like. And I think I really just switched on in year 11 and 12, just trying to like get the ATAR that I need to get into the course that I like wanted to, just to make my parents proud and just to prove to myself that I can actually, achieve something. And I think at that point it was just like, all right, well, once you get to uni, what's next? Like, I got to get a job. If I'm going into accounting, if I'm doing commerce, then I'll probably have to get a job at a accounting firm or in finance. So that was like, that to me was the light at the end of the tunnel, right? And I felt like if I got to work at a big four, then that would mean that I have at some point succeeded.
Mm.
Yeah.
So was it like a chip?
And
Was it like a chip on your shoulder?
just to
To
prove
prove
to
to
myself.
yourself. Yeah.
And also just to, make my parents proud and be like,
Yeah.
oh, look, this was the first time I got like a nice big paycheck that I, wasn't used to on a consistent basis as well. And now I'm just like thinking about, oh, well, how do I get more of that? And what do I need to do to increase my income? So then, after 2 years working at EY, I actually had a friend, his name was Alan Shen, actually. So he moved back to San Francisco and he called me and we had a chat and we're like, oh, bro, like you got to get out of EY. You got to, move away from that and get to tech and, do this.
Of
And I was
course,
like,
of
what are
course,
you
the guy that moved from Sydney to
Sydney to
San
San Fran,
Fran
yeah.
was like, "Yeah, you got to get into tech, man."
Yeah, yeah. And I was like, what is
Which
this?
holds true, by the way,
Yeah.
like 100% true. Yeah,
Yeah, because he's seeing something that we're not seeing
yeah,
currently in the Australian market,
yeah, yeah.
And then I was just like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, what is this sales thing you're talking about? And it's like, bro, like, commissions, man.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
like, yeah, you got to make sales. And we're like, and he taught me how to like sort of position myself as a salesperson if I'm, trying to reach out and find a sales job at a tech company as well. The amount of research that you need to do about a company and, all
yeah.
that stuff, right? And that opened my eyes to how much money that you could actually make. And at that point, that was when I was like, really, I was like, all right, well, let's do it. And this was at the back end of COVID as well.
Mm.
So I had a lot of time to just reflect and sort of build, my knowledge around sales. And during the time I was working at EY, I was also interviewing at different tech companies.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was like that. The defining moment was that conversation with Alan introducing me to the tech sales side of the careers. And since then I was just like, all right, let's just go into it. And yeah, moved away from the big four. And I think, my life was better for it.
So then pivoting into the transition from tech
Yeah.
into running your own thing, right? Because from what you're saying, like tech is great, and
Tech is
I spent
great.
my whole entire career in like tech sales as well, so I can attest to how fun it is, flying overseas, meeting like global teams, having big night outs, like it was a fantastic time. But
Yeah.
when we left Templify, we got paid out. We could have, both of us, right, and literally everyone else at Templify in Australia, but we all could have just gone into the next like sales role and
Yeah.
kind of just followed.
Mm.
What changed? Like, how did
Man,
that differ?
I think it was like culture was a big thing and the team
Yeah.
was a big thing.
Yeah.
So when I was interviewing for other places, like I had a really bad experience with one of the interviewers. Like he was just not paying attention to me. He was just on his phone, was just dismissing a lot of the things I was going to say and interrupting me. And I was like, fuck, man, like how many more interviews do I want to go through? And like, what if I go through the interview and I get the job and then the team that I'm in is like, I just don't like it. I don't mesh well. And I've got to restart that process again and find another job that I like. And like, I'm constantly moving, right? I don't really go through that and, trying to learn, build it, be part of another team again, and trying to learn a new product again and sort of, build the skills up again. So I guess the introverted side of me was kind of just like, yeah, like I think maybe you're just better off on your own and
Yeah.
just, maybe you should just start your own thing.
Right.
Because of that one bad experience interviewing with one of the sales managers at one of the other tech companies that I interviewed for. Yeah. So, moved away from tech and started my own thing. And I just felt like, I just wanted to take more control of my life and not to be exposed to risks like redundancy anymore.
Yeah.
I think that was a big part of it is more security.
Yeah.
But obviously, starting your own business is is like as far as security can get,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. I'd say you can look at it
um,
in two different ways. There's security and kind of you own everything.
yeah,
You control your destiny. So there's that security there. But then of course it's like the success of a business and the non-security aspect of it. Yeah, it's two different ends of the spectrum there. I
yeah,
cannot believe
exactly.
that you interviewed with somebody like that though. Like I think that's absolutely trash because
Yeah,
I think like
it was a
during
bad experience.
yeah, like during that time, wasn't people complaining about lack of talent?
Yeah,
It was like a period of all these companies going like we really need to like hire, but we can't. People were getting like it was like a bad time, right?
yeah,
And you just had somebody like that showed up and was an absolute asshole.
yeah.
Maybe he was about to get like let go, or
I don't know.
maybe he got the news that he was getting
It
let
was
go on the
very
day.
condescending. It was very condescending.
Yeah,
It just left a really sour taste in my mouth, and I was just like, man, I really don't want to just interview anymore. Like,
yeah,
I'm so over it. Like, that's
yeah,
the last thing I wanted to experience after being made redundant.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, basically decided, at the time I was just like, oh, how do I make money online
Right, right.
on YouTube? And then I came across like, learn a high ticket, skill and monetize that. And, here are some different high ticket skills that you could learn, and like marketing and then SEO and
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
coaching and
You
all
got
that
hit
stuff.
by one of those
Yeah.
clickbaity YouTube
Clickbait.
videos.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And I was like, wait, what's SEO? That seems pretty cool. It seems pretty interesting. So I like spent like nights on end just learning more about SEO and watching YouTube videos about it. And then I came across a video about like start your own SEO agency and make K a month.
yeah, yeah,
There are some merits to those videos, and that obviously did fire me up at the very beginning, but there were a lot of changes that I had to, or there were a lot of harsh truths that I had to accept. And I think that really changed the way that I operate my business now. So yeah, after getting made redundant, I just decided to start my marketing business. And initially it was purely just to white label everything and get, your team to just like fulfill all the tasks, and I'll just be managing the sales aspect of it because that's what I knew,
yep.
right? Coming out of tech sales, I was like, all right, well, I'm good on the phones. I'm good on sales. I understand SEO to a degree where I can sort of sell it, and I'll just try and, get customers, sell it, and then I'll get, the team overseas to fulfill the service, right? And then to me, I was kind of just like sitting there. I was just like, that doesn't really sit right with me from an ethical standpoint, because like I'm selling these guys a dream and I can't even control the output that the other service provider was doing for me. One, because of lack of knowledge. And two is because they've got their own processes and I can't just come in there and be like, hey, you can't just do that, right? So then like I didn't feel good about myself because I was like, why am I selling something that I don't, believe in? And that sort of changed the way that I sort of operate my business. And from then I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to go down that route anymore. And I'm going to like learn how to do it myself, like learn everything that I can and actually like apply it and not, do all of this white label stuff. I tried doing that with another agency in Sydney,
Yep.
and it was like, they were so high, like margins were so thin as well. And it's just like all that effort to getting that customer. And then I have to like, give up a lot of my margins, a big chunk of that. So then I was just like, you know what? I think the best way is just for me to just put my head down and learn how to do SEO and do it properly and do it well for clients, and learn how to run the business myself. And that was a defining moment, because if you're not satisfied with the service that you're putting out there, and if you're not comfortable with the work that you're doing for people, then it's like, are you really upholding, your personal values? Are you really showing integrity there? So it was like a lot of big battles in terms of just like who I am as a person, right? Because at that point in time, I was like, fuck, I need to make money now.
Yeah,
I need something coming into my bank account.
yeah.
And I guess I decided to be like, I just got to do it right. If that means having no money for 6 months or 12 months, living with my parents again and just like doing that, then I got to do it. So yeah, that was like a big part of how I moved away from the 9 to 5 after Templify and moving into my marketing business.
I'm thinking about like the point that you touched on, which hit home, right? Was the outsourcing aspect of it, right? When
Yeah.
when you work with another team and you're there pretty much in complete control of everything, and it's not like it goes against your values, but rather there's conflict. You're not in complete control. You're bound by the way they do things, why they do things, and how they do things, right? And in a similar experience, like the similar experience that I had was, straight after Templify, I had all this cash and I wanted to get into gaming, right?
Mm.
And I was like, all right, well, I know the market, I learned the market, and I know this is a growth market, and I think there's a banging opportunity here. But instead of really kind of building out like valuable skills, not necessarily technical skills, but building out valuable skills for me to kind of own it and really kind of
Mm.
lead it myself, I
Yeah.
just went out to go find a game dev agency that knew what
Yeah.
that were like on paper, knew what they were doing, got the cool
Yeah.
logos, and I was like, yo, I really want to build this. Here's my brief. Here's my scope, and go and do it. And different kind of case studies, different scenarios, but similar kind of pain points, right? They, as much as you try to communicate and you obviously try your best to be in line with each other, they have their own ethos. They have their own way of
Mm.
doing things. You have no control
Mm.
either. You have a bit of control. You're there, but if you don't know what you're talking about as well, you're just there
Yeah.
as a voice, right?
You
You're
don't
just
know if
guiding
you don't know
them.
if they're taking you for a ride.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Like,
exactly. It's whatever they say, and you
yeah,
can only know so much, and then you're like, all right,
exactly.
I guess you're right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that hits home as well. And so building out the skills yourself is absolutely a huge one. You mentioned like
Yeah.
other harsh truths, and
Mm.
this is a big one because I think a lot of people are extremely scared to go out on their own and do their own thing.
Mm.
And then there are people who romanticize it and go, "Yo,
Mm.
this is what you got to do. This is the best. Right? This is obviously what everyone should be doing." What would be some of those harsh truths that you learn?
Yeah.
What are some of those big ones that people could take
Oh
away from?
man, the hard truth is that no one's going to be there to tell you what to do.
Right.
Man, that was a big thing. I remember working at Templify. I'd always have Connor or I'd always have Dave, on my back being like, hey, how many calls did you do today?
Yeah.
Like, hey, have you sent that email out yet? Like,
Right.
but when you're starting your own business, there are so many things that you need to make sure that you're on top of, and you've got emails that you need to respond to. You've got certain tasks that have deadlines that you are basically managing yourself. So, you really have to be committed to it, right? And there's no one there to tell you what to do anymore.
Right.
So you have to make sure that you're there for yourself, disciplined to actually, stay true to what you say you're going to do. And I think,
How did you get through that? Like, how did you get through the slump? Obviously, it was a problem. Like, it was a
yeah,
challenge,
well, I
right?
mean, well, you look at your bank account, that's the first one.
Yeah, that's right.
You're like,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
no, no,
The
yeah.
numbers aren't automatically going up every fortnight or every month anymore,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Like I'm in charge of my own destiny now, and I'm in
Yeah.
charge of those numbers going up in my bank account.
Yeah.
So if I don't actually go in and do what I say I'm going to do, then I'm not going to be able to, have money to spend or, survive or buy food or eat, right? So, or travel or do whatever you want with money, right? So yeah, that's one of the hard truths is really just taking action and, doing what you say you're going to do and, be your own coach. You got to be in your own corner and you got to believe in yourself because no one's going to do that for you when you start your own thing. As much as you do have support,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, in your toughest times, in your, in your late nights when you're sitting at your desk thinking, is this right for me? Like that's when you're in your own corner. That's when you believe in yourself because who else is going to do that for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, big thing. Half truth there is that, you're by yourself and you got to own it.
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm still feeling it today, right? There are some evenings where I'd sit there and I'm like, "Fuck, did I make the wrong decision? How much money could I have made working, going back
Oh,
into
man,
sales, getting like a 400K OT? How much could I have earned safely?
man,
Right?
that
What was the
opportunity
opportunity
cost, though.
cost of doing
Yeah,
this? Yeah.
that
But
that kills you.
that does kill you. Yeah, it's hard, man. How do you? I guess going a little bit deeper and maybe like a practical takeaway aside from looking at your bank account and just literally telling yourself, and it sounds funny because it's not really a textbook framework, but there
Mm,
is something to say about you looking at your numbers because I
yeah,
care a lot about wealth, and you look at it and you're like, get the fuck up. Yeah, a frame. Is there like a mental framework that you take?
no,
Yeah. I
man.
think for me, it started off with simply trying to log everything, and I would write
Mm,
down tasks that I need to do, And
Mm.
if I don't do the task, I would look at myself at the end of the day. I'm like, man, you are an absolute shit cunt, right? Abs like, come on, man, like you're trash, dude.
Yeah.
This is nothing. And I just kind of like mentally push myself like that.
Like I can't really say that I have this grand sort of process or this playbook or this blueprint.
Silver bullet, yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, some days you feel like you're 100%. Some days you feel like you're on top of the world
yeah,
and you can do anything.
yeah,
And then there are some days where you feel really low and you just don't want to do things. And I think it's
yeah.
just a matter of just keep showing up, even though, you don't feel like it. I think that's, for me, was just game changer. It's just like, just keep going, just keep doing, keep trying to improve and keep putting in the hard yards, right?
That's the
Yeah,
playbook,
because
man.
I mean, like the playbook here is that, I remember seeing this infographic or this sort of thing on LinkedIn and it's just like, you don't have to like shop 100% of the time.
As long
As
as
long
you're
as you
showing up,
shop,
yeah.
right? As long as
Even
you're
if you're
showing
like,
up,
even if you're like completely trash,
20%,
yeah,
50%, like you keep showing up, you're just grinding and, yeah, it's like you're never going to be at 100% every single day. So you just got to keep showing up for yourself. And I think, every day as it goes, you pass that hurdle and then you look back and you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad. I didn't
yeah,
die. I'm still alive.
oh yeah,
I got the next day to worry about now. But then you look back and you kind of just like, wow, like that wasn't as intense or that wasn't as crazy as I thought it'd be.
It feels more like it
I
was when you reflect back. It feels more like it was just a mental barrier in your head,
Yeah, like
right?
and if you even just like think about something that was bothering you 2 years ago about
Yeah,
like you probably can't even pinpoint that and like you probably forgot about it already.
yeah, yeah,
So like at that time when you're stressing out about it so much, kind of just like why am I even stressed out about it now? Like I'm at
yeah,
a stage where I'm better than I was 2 years ago.
yeah,
Um, and look, like problems. I think one thing is that problems never go away. They
yeah,
just come back in different forms and different to where you are in your current, journey.
yeah,
Right. So like, for example, when I started my business, I was just like, I'm so stressed out. I don't know anything about SEO.
yeah,
What am I going to, like, what are
yeah,
people going to think about me? Right.
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
was, that was what I was stressed out about like probably 2 years ago. And I'm like, now I'm just like, oh, well, now I know a lot about it and
yeah. This is
I can
autopilot.
talk a lot about it.
Yeah,
But then now my issue is like, oh, well, how do I find the right stuff to do the work that I need to delegate?
yeah,
Because now
right.
that I've got more clients, is it like that contrast in the issues that you have over
Yeah,
2 years?
yeah,
Like you never really thought about it, right? And I think, that's what the mindset I'm in now is just like, don't stress out too much. I know that's a hard thing. I still stress out a lot, but this right here, this conversation's made me realize and remember it's just like, you're going to look back sometimes and be like how far you've come
yeah,
and the issues and the problems that you have now are like a privilege to have such a problem now like in business like
yeah, yeah.
like
Like
you got so many other people are
yeah,
having it worse than you and
yeah,
your
100%.
problem you're stressed out about how can I build my business, how can I get more stuff, how can I make more money, and like that's such a great problem to have, I think.
Yeah, dude. And
um
like, well, 100%. And this is probably not what I recommend everyone doing. And this is not textbook pro, but every time Jess and I, start thinking about like the issues that we're having, right? We have our days as well. And with
yeah,
the partner, and when it kind of lines up and you're both feeling it, you're both
yeah,
feeling the pressure, it compounds, right? What we
yeah,
do is we honestly go onto YouTube and we just watch like what's happening in like South Africa,
yeah,
right? And just
yeah,
watch a vlog of them there. And
yeah,
honestly, it just brings us down so
yeah,
quick. Like honestly, you watch that and you're like, holy
yeah,
shit, the problems that we have are
bro,
absolutely
tiny,
nothing. And you're right.
nothing.
And to the point that you said as well, like problems around growth,
Yeah,
right? Like problems with your business, not because it's going under, but
yeah.
because things are changing and things are growing. Like just if you mentally shift the way that you look at it,
Hmm.
it's like you should be in a place of gratitude. You're like,
Yeah,
wow, I
100%.
can't
Yeah,
believe that I'm thinking about this even.
yeah. And well, but then you look at it now and you're kind of just like, well, the only reason I'm able to do that is because I put in the hard work,
Yeah, yeah.
over the past 2 years, and
You put in the reps.
put in the reps. I was true to myself. I had integrity about who I am as a person. I didn't want to sell shit products. I didn't want to sell shit service,
Yeah,
and I wanted to be someone who was knowledgeable. So you put in those works, and then you reap the rewards now. And obviously, I'm only 2 years in. I'm running this business, and I'm with zero experience back then.
mm,
And, I'm working with a couple of clients. I'm working with 3, 4 clients who are, paying me a retainer every single month. And, that's keeping my head up afloat. And like, I'm super grateful for the opportunities and just how different my life was when I was working at Templify. Cause like now it's like, yeah, sure, I've got uncapped commissions at Templify, but now it's just like, if I do want to scale my business, then I can look into it.
Fantastic. What I'll do is down below in the videos, I'll put a link to the Coramore Bakehouse. I'll put a link to your agency as well.
Oh,
Well, thanks for hopping on, mate. It was a cracking session.
yeah,
Good
it
to
was
chat as
fun.
always. Hey, did you guys enjoy that episode? Tune into our podcast fortnightly, where I interview extraordinary people doing extraordinary things, sharing their insights and their stories about entrepreneurship. So whether you're aspiring, whether you're already doing your own thing, or experimenting while hustling at your 9 to 5, this one is for you guys. And if you like what you're hearing, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, follow us on our socials below, and we'll see you next time.